Hello everyone, welcome back to Morgan Hasn't Seen for our Not Quite Christmas series. Of course, it is the special December video podcast episode today, which is why, if you are watching today's episode, you can see me wearing a particularly jazz Christmas jumper.
Yeah, cool Santa jumper.
Unfortunately, I've planned it poorly. I'm not decorated as I usually am behind me at the moment. I think when we come to our Christmas watch along that we typically do on It's a Wonderful Podcast, we'll be fully decorated for that, and lights and garland and everything else that usually goes on. But it's only right, I think, given that it's December and given that I am one to wear Christmas jumpers all the time in December, to have had one on for today's show. Because, I mean, Colin Farrell in this movie really hates everything, doesn't he? I mean, Christmas,
he's so miserable.
Bruges, Brendan Gleeson, everybody else. And it's quite funny, really, isn't it? Because of course that's the movie we're talking about today. It's In Bruges from 2008. It is a Christmas movie. It is set around Christmas in Bruges, about obviously two very down-to-earth hitmen. We're not used to seeing hitmen in movies acting in this way, are we? We're more used to the Alain Delon style of hitman.
Cool and slick.
Or cool and slick, or alone,
serious, loner, dark.
Not really bumbling, semi-incompetence and hilarity, and very, very just regular dude energy. From Hitmen. It's not kind of the vibe you imagine. Obviously, that is exactly what we get in Bruges. For some reason, I get the feeling I'm going to struggle with the title of the movie today, because I'm going to keep saying in Bruges, and it doesn't really roll off the tongue very well, does it? But I'm glad to be back, obviously, on Morgan Hasn't Seen. Glad to be back with another video podcast episode. Of course, if you are just listening today, we love you too. Hello to you.
Yes, hello.
We hope you like In Bruges as much as obviously you knew I was going to like In Bruges.
Yes.
I don't think this was a surprise to you. I don't think you were putting this into the Not Quite Christmas series as a risk, as a kind of, I wonder if he's gonna like this. You must have been pretty confident with this one.
Oh, yes. Well, I mean, I had heard this film. I knew it was getting buzz. It was an Oscar movie the year it came out. I think it's nominated for Best Screenplay.
Makes sense.
But I hadn't watched it at that time. So I only just watched this for the first time a few years ago and really enjoyed it and had a lot of fun with it, and just kind of the tonal shift that happens and how organically it happens, and just kind of how natural the performances feel while also kind of being a bit silly and heightened. So I think it had all of the elements that I thought you might enjoy, and I think most people did, considering it won the poll to be this month's video episode. So,
I mean, it's been a movie that's been on my radar, obviously, for years, really, probably since it came out. You know, I've kind of heard things about it, and probably semi wanted to see it, seen it on television, I suppose, a couple of times, but never gone to watch it, never gone to click on it. Never thought, oh, that's what I could kind of see
put on
to tonight. But typically with these kind of things, the movies that you are particularly confident about putting into Morgan Hasn't Seen, you are right to be particularly confident about putting in there. This is exactly the kind of movie of this style that I'm gonna really, really love. I mean, it's disgustingly dry, for one thing. In its humor, there's no, I mean, the level of absurdity going on amongst the dryness is what makes it that much better. The ridiculous situation they're finding themselves in, or continue to find themselves in as the movie goes on, and the darkly ridiculous situation that
the dark comedy of it. Mm-hmm.
But right at the beginning, I just find it absolutely hilarious that both of them, obviously Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson, they just arrive in Bruges, and Brendan Gleeson is just like, oh yeah, let's go on a boat trip and see some sights. Well, we're told to wait here, wait for the call, wait for next orders from our boss. Obviously, that's the kind of thing going on. So we might as well make the most of it and go and see this nice old medieval town. And Colin Farrell literally couldn't look
more miserable.
To be
what his eyebrow acting in this film is Oscar worthy. Like the faces he's pulling, the miserable faces he's pulling in this film,
and he's got no reason. Epic. He has literally, well, I mean, he does obviously, but we don't think he has any reason to be so miserable.
Yeah, and like the whole reason that their kind of boss sent them there was for them to take it all in and enjoy this kind of pleasant place. And so the fact that Ken is enjoying it, but Colin Farrell is not, it's just really kind of a fun dynamic to set off right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you realize why Ray isn't enjoying being in his own mind at the moment, or never mind anything else, it becomes way more understandable and adds obviously considerable more layers to the movie. But as just a beginning, you just think it's going to be absolutely hilarious, this, because you don't even realize the hitmen right from the beginning. It doesn't. It kind of just teases you and eases you into understanding. Okay, they're actually hitmen. They're assassins. They're working in organized crime.
Yeah, they're hiding out clearly after a job.
They've clearly been sent here to hide out, to get away from it for a bit, to clear the scene of whatever job they've just done. Yeah. But it's strange to me that they're considered like in hiding at all, because they're not exactly like keeping a low profile when they're in Bruges or anything like that. So there's odd things going on. I think it's an odd sort of setup, and an interestingly odd sort of setup as a movie. And I mean, like you said, very unique. It's kind of one on its own about characters like this, which I suppose is why it's still thought very highly of. Although it's obviously, not that old. It's not 20 years old, is it? But it's, I know it's still very, very fondly thought of, which is why I think everybody was very excited a couple of years ago when our two leads reunited for Banshees of Inisherin in great success that was. And the director, it must be said as well, Martin McDonagh.
He wrote the screenplay as well.
Writes both movies. It's a full Irish ensemble going on here.
Yes, and I love what you said about them not really feeling like they're in hiding, because of course Ray is not very inconspicuous. He's yelling at tourists, which is very funny. He's starting fights with people. He's trying to start a romantic relationship with somebody. So he's making a stamp wherever he goes here, despite being completely miserable. So it's not really helping their case, but it's also kind of making this place feel like a bit of a limbo kind of playground, essentially, like not a real place, which plays, I think, into the ending really well. So I do like this setup, that this is just kind of this secluded, because we hear people repeat constantly, like, where is Bruges? Like, I've never heard of this place.
Which seems weird to me. I don't know
exactly, right?
Do people not know where like Bruges is? Do people not know the country of Belgium? Like, it doesn't seem to make a great deal of sense. It's not really an obscure place.
Exactly. So they set it up to be this kind of like fantasy island almost. Like this hidden playground of a place, but Ray does see it as a limbo. And then when we kind of learn what he's going through, and as I mentioned, kind of how the movie ends, all of that kind of setup with that feeling makes so much sense.
Well, it's when it just gets darker and darker as a movie, I suppose. I don't think the comedy never stops, I don't think, in the movie, which is a very, I think it's a wise choice for the movie to never really stop its comedy. But there is a certain point where, you know, it begins reasonably light. It's just this kind of banterous sort of style of comedy. We're dealing with this situation. It's going to be a bit of a black comedy, a bit of a dark comedy, because we learn the hitmen hiding out. So, you know, there's going to be potentially some sort of violent things going on. Naturally, obviously, ridiculous levels of language going on in the movie, because it's Ireland as well. And if there's one thing the Irish are famous for, it's swearing very well, I suppose, very naturally. It's like the Scottish. It flows
of their culture almost. It's just inherent.
Well, it is, and I don't think that's ever necessarily a bad thing. It is how language evolves in certain parts of the world, and there is something far more natural about Irish people swearing in the manner that these two swear in this movie than there would be even an English person swearing in the manner that, you know, swearing in this sort of manner, because you get Ralph Fiennes later on in the movie, who's very, very foul-mouthed. In this as their boss, but he's doing obviously that sort of half Cockney accent kind of, or well-to-do Cockney kind of accent. That I don't think necessarily fits with Ralph Fiennes particularly well. Because Ralph Fiennes is a, I suppose he's a kind of fancier sort of person. He's a posher sort of person generally. So you expect him to talk in that soft, almost regal sort of way that he does typically talk. So when he's, you know, giving it all sorts and being ridiculously high, tense energy and calling his wife an inanimate object and things like that later on, which is a great line.
Oh, yeah. It's a great comeback. Like, it sounds like a petty, immature, in the moment, I can't think of anything else to say comeback, but somehow he makes it feel like a valid retort, because at a certain point, Ken defies one of his orders. He calls Ken, tells Ken to do something. Ken says, "I'm not doing it," hangs up on him. And so in his home, he begins smashing the phone, ripping it apart, cursing.
And it's like, it's Christmas. It's Christmas.
Yes, exactly.
Like Eve or something like this.
And his wife walks in from the other room like, what the hell is he doing? And she sees him smashing up this phone like a child. And she's like, it's an inanimate object. Like, why are you freaking out? And he yells, "You're an inanimate object." And she's just like, oh, shit. Just like...
There's a fairly strong word beginning with F that's put in the middle of all that as well, isn't there, as well? It's not just it's an inanimate object, you're an inanimate object. They both have the nice descriptor going on.
Thrown in there.
The nice emphasized point going on. As does most things in this movie, to be honest with you. But I like that, as dark as we end up getting, and as kind of thematically, potentially philosophical as we end up getting by the end of it, when Bruges is considered this limbo, this sort of purgatory sort of place, this place where lost souls find themselves, and, you know, to try and transport to the next life after doing some horrific act that we obviously learn Ray has accidentally done on their last job. Even though we get into all that, and the movie could become quite heady, could become really introspective, and does become introspective, and interestingly introspective, it's still very funny. It still keeps the humorous attitude that lightens everything up. I think makes everything a little bit more palatable. I think it would be a very, very bleak movie if that humor wasn't there, and all that humor turns it into quite a really sort of easy watching movie, as dark as it is, as thematically dark as it is, as not just in terms of surface level darkness, but it's really, really bleak when you think about it, and it's not like it's stylistically got flair, like a good noir or something like that. It's very flatly kind of shot. It's very matter of factly shot. It's really just watching two people go through it.
Yeah, it's just the naturalistic performances that are kind of selling the shifts emotionally that are happening.
Yeah, and I love that it keeps its humor, because that's so human. That's such a human way of dealing with everything. And I mean, even Ray with towards the beginning of the movie, obviously, when Ken gets that phone call, the smashing up the phone call from Ray Fiennes, he begins to have his own sort of existential crisis then, because of what he's asked to do. Obviously, for the first half of the movie, it's very much on Ray, and then when we learn what Ray's done in his last job was to assassinate a priest. Which we see in flashback him go and do. The priest is played by Kieran Hines.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting quite a few Harry Potter people here in this
film.
All I think
Harry Potter people in the movie, actually. Let us not forget that Colin Farrell himself was in a Harry Potter world
he
movie.
was. Yes, exactly.
Obviously, Brendan Gleeson's there. Kieran Hines was in Harry Potter. Clemence Posey is the girl who
that he's trying to form a relationship with.
Yes, who was Fleur Delacour. So it's a good little Harry Potter cast going on. Never mind, the new one. Never mind the new Harry Potter. Although, do we mind? It's a funny one, isn't it? Are we interested? Are we remotely interested? It's not relevant to this conversation at all. But it's a question to ask. Are we interested? Are we going to watch it? Is one thing beating out the other in our minds of not wanting to support it for obvious reasons, but also being so kind of weirdly fascinated by the prospect of that being done,
of a whole new iteration of something, and
are we going to be able to take ourselves? Are we able to go? Are we going to be able to see it being a thing and not go, I kind of have to watch that, don't I?
So
it's a weird one.
I get that kind of curiosity. I have a curiosity about it, of like, how is this going to play? I also haven't read all of the books, so the interest in kind of filling those gaps, for somebody who always wanted more from the stories, and have heard kind of the in between things to see that. But considering what this woman has said directly, what she plans to do with the money that she makes from this show, I will not be watching it. Yes,
that is true. That is a very, very fair point.
So I have no judgment to people who will be watching it. Like, if you want to watch it, that's your choice. I have no judgment for people who maybe, who are Potter fans and want to watch it. But me personally, because she made that statement in the ground, like, this is what I'm actually going to do with the money I make from this show, I'm not going to watch it. I've made that decision. Yes.
I haven't personally made up a decision yet. I still remain very, very curious. I think perhaps for some time, I'm odds on at the moment to not watch it, but keep a close eye on it when it comes out. See what people are saying, watch what people think about it, and do all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And
like, if somebody's doing a breakdown of it, I might watch that to see, okay, this is what's, and watch it through somebody else breaking it down, so I'm not directly contributing to her. Because it's like, at this point, like, instead of watching the Harry Potter films on streaming, I watch my DVDs, you know, if I want to watch it, so that I'm not, you know, contributing to that, you know. So
tangent aside, In Bruges has a great original Harry Potter cast.
Yes.
and I'm very thankful for that. But no, obviously we see that flashback of Ray killing the priest like he was supposed to. This is what he does. That goes according to plan, but accidentally, all the while doing that, he ends up shooting a little boy,
an altar boy. Yeah. Yeah, and he even had his little notes of like what he was going to confess. And it was just like little, like very sweet, like little kid things that they thought they did wrong, you know, being bad at math and things like that. So just really tragic for him. So when we see Ray kind of being this big curmudgeon, that's the kind of thing that's weighing on him. So the fact that they play kind of this first bit with so much kind of comedy is really interesting, kind of not knowing yet what is kind of simmering underneath. So when we learn that, it's a really interesting kind of dynamic to play. But they still manage to kind of keep that dark humor going throughout the rest of it, which is really interesting considering how dark that whole moment is for Ray.
I mean, even the killing of a priest in itself is pretty severe. I mean, I know I'm kind of brushing over it because it's a Hitman movie, but he's literally in the confessional confessing to Ciarán Hinds, the priest,
I've taken money to kill some. Yeah, and he says that I'm confessing because I've taken money to kill somebody. And then he kind of pulls out his gun and starts to shoot. And it's like a really messy, it's not even like clean. He shoots him a couple times.
No, it's not. It's awful.
In the confessional. And then Ciarán Hinds walks out of the confessional and he proceeds to shoot him a few more times and then shoots him in the back. It's very messy. So it's not like a contained, nice, clean shooting, which I think it also speaks to, I think we're supposed to kind of know Ray to be a bit of a novice and like Ken is like his mentor kind of thing. And that's the dynamic.
Yeah.
Ray is kind of a little bit new at this. So
he's not got the stomach for it, though. Yeah. He's not got the stomach for it, and he's not got the head for it, because as soon as something goes wrong, the temperament. Yes, okay, it's gone very wrong in this sense, given that he's killed a completely innocent, even in their eyes, a completely innocent person. Look, we don't know what Ciarán Hinds, the priest, did. You know, to quote unquote deserve this assassination on Ray Fiennes' orders. Nobody knows, right? We didn't even mention Ray Fiennes when we were talking about Harry Potter cast either. Obviously, the biggest of the big,
of course, Voldemort. Yes, well, because
I was literally everybody in the movie.
Yes, because I thought I was going to mention it because when you talked about kind of Ray Fiennes having this regal quality, like he even kind of brings that to this like shoeless, you know, nightgown wearing villain, snake faced villain. He still brings that kind of a regal kind of accent and attitude. To something like that. So I get why you feel like, you know, this kind of trying to be posh Cockney kind of accent is not super believable for you.
Ray Fiennes' Voldemort is very, very hoity-toity, I think. And very, very petulant, very obviously, because he's loud and showy and expressive, and that's not Voldemort from, if you read the books of Voldemort, he's incredibly kind of quiet and stoic. Couldn't be further from screaming Avada Kedavra at people.
I think not the first version of Tom Riddle we see, but I think the second version of Tom Riddle we see when we're talking about the Horcruxes, that feels more to what I've kind of heard his portrayal is, like very kind of, because that version is very kind of stoic and quiet and sneaky and
weirdly, I do think the Chamber of Secrets Tom Riddle is a far better Tom Riddle than the Half-Blood Prince Tom Riddle. And maybe that's not weird. We're talking too much about
Harry Potter right now. Well, just this cast just brings it out.
It does, I suppose. But no, clearly Ray doesn't have the temperament to do this because he seems uncomfortable even killing Ciarán Hinds. And if you are an assassin, you've got to be cold to a degree. You can be a human being, sure you can, as we see loads of times in Hitman movies. They're not all Alain Delon in The Samurai.
Yeah.
You know, but many are, I suppose.
Yeah.
But you have to have a certain cold-bloodedness to you. Like Ralph Fiennes in this movie clearly would be a very good assassin because he's so cold, callous, and just uncaring.
Oh yeah, and he has this kind of credo that he lives by as well, which we see. He how seriously he takes that by the end of the film. Which, funnily enough, his name is Harry in this movie. But
it is.
But yes, Ray does not really have the temperament for this because we ultimately see him. He meets this woman and he kind of wants to go out with her and he takes her out on a date. She goes to and she's smoking in the restaurant, and the people sitting next to them when she gets up to use the restroom, they complain about her smoking him in his date. And Ray is like, why are you talking about her like that? Like, she can smoke. He's like, I don't want this woman blowing smoke in my face. And the guy's like, just being really obnoxious about his date smoking. And Ray proceeds to just punch the guy in his face. And then the girlfriend of the guy picks up a bottle and goes to swing it at Ray, and he like punches her in the face too. So he's
I love though I love Ray's almost reason for punching him in the face though. He punches this guy in the face and says, or this seemingly American man in the face.
Yeah.
Seemingly American tourist. Like, that's for John Lennon. Punch. It's like, what does that mean? What?
And then he even has a reasoning for like punching the lady at the end because his date comes out of the bathroom and she's like, what just happened here? And he's like, well, I wouldn't hit a woman, I swear. But when she's coming at me with a bottle, like, she might know karate. I don't know. She knows karate. Like,
yes.
So he claims it was self-defense and he had his reasons, and
he's unhinged. He's unhinged in a hilarious way. Like, I don't actively think Ray is a dangerous person. I just think he's a messy person.
He's a messy person. I mean, the whole thing with the fat people in the towers.
Oh God.
That was
it made sense. It made sense though, because even Brendan Gleeson, because he'd been up there to have a bit of sightseeing and go up this nice bell tower.
So this Brendan Gleeson
comes up. Brendan Gleeson's not a small dude. No. He comes back down and says to these very, very large American tourists. I wouldn't recommend going up there. It's very narrow. And the vitriol of which they then shout at Brendan Gleeson, who hasn't done anything wrong.
Yes, it's such a great scene because it's this whole kind of scene where Ken is making Ray like do all this touristy stuff and Ray's not interested. So he sat on a bench while Brendan Gleeson's Ken is going up this tower. And Ray overhears this, large American couple talk about going up there. And he tells them, I don't think you should go up there. It's quite a lot of steps, and I don't think he'll make it up there. And they're like, "Wait, what? What do you?" He's like, "Yeah, I don't think he'll make it up there." Like, he's trying to tell them, like, it might be a little too much for you.
On, though, doesn't
Yes, he keeps saying it, and he kind of says it worse and worse, kind of making his point more clear. And then they get mad. And the fat man tries to fight him. And obviously he's a bigger guy, so he can't catch Ray. So Ray's just kind of running away from him with his hands in his pocket. Like, he's not even trying hard to get away from this guy. No. And the guy is struggling to the point where he has to just stop and like hold his knees and catch his breath. And Ray's just like making this face like this, like, what are you even trying to do? And
I think Ray does call them elephants at one point, which obviously
and he tells them to just stop, guy, like, you're not gonna do it, like, just stop, you're not gonna catch me. And then here comes Ken down the stairs. He's like, oh, I don't know if you want to do that, it's pretty narrow. And then they curse him out. And then later in the film, the whole tower is a thing. Like, it's a whole situation where Harry has to go down there to talk to Ken because Ken has defied one of his orders. So they say, let's go talk in the tower where no one, can disturb us. And a guard is there and says the tower's closed because a tourist had a heart attack at the top.
I wonder who that could have been.
Yeah. So I love that this whole sequence, which is hilarious, kind of just circles back again in a very kind of interesting, like, oh yeah, it probably was that tourist. Yeah.
It's great. It's great. Well, I suppose a question has to be asked that I always like to ask you specifically, because obviously these are the kind of things you focus on in any given movie, if it is there at all. There is potentially a romantic side to In Bruges, as we've already briefly mentioned. Obviously, Colin Farrell tries courting, shall we say, Clemence Posey, who is this stunningly beautiful Belgian woman. Oh my God, it's the one good thing in the whole country of Belgium, according to Ray. As a romance, we've already talked about the date where he smacks those two people to the ground, but their dynamic is quite unusual to me. I think obviously it goes in a bit of a odd little direction, but as a pairing, as a potentially romantic pairing, what do we think of that?
I think it works because I think she is kind of weird enough in her dynamic that, like, even I think if she knew what he did, she would probably be okay with it. Because she's even okay with the fact, like, you think at first she's like unsettled by the fact that he just randomly punched two people, but she's actually like, no, like, I like it. And then later, we cut from that scene of him kind of being worried he screwed everything up, but her being like, no, it's fine, to them like making out in her apartment. Only for her ex or boyfriend or whatever to pull a gun, show up behind him and pull a gun on him. And it turns out this is kind of a grift that they do, that she's kind of like this petty thief and like drug dealer, and her and her boyfriend, get tourists to come back and then rob them. But she didn't want Ray to be a part of that because she actually
there
liked
was something
Ray.
a little bit different to Ray. There was something she didn't want to do this to Ray.
Yes. So she had made it known to her ex or whatever that she didn't want Ray to be a part of it. And Ray ends up grabbing the gun from him, which has a blank in it, and he ends up shooting the blank in the guy's face. So
like blinds him in one eye.
Yes. So as we mentioned, Ray just does not have the temperament to like deal with these types of situations in a kind of de-escalating kind of way.
Not at all.
So she has to rush off and take this guy to the hospital, but she asks him to stay. She asks him to call her. She's like, please, no, like, I swear, like, I do really like you. Because Ray is then complaining. He sat on the bed in front of them. The guy's like wailing over his eye. And he's like really bummed. He's like, oh my gosh, like, I haven't been late in so long. And I really liked you. And this sucks. I knew you couldn't have really liked me. Like, I knew this wasn't real. And he gets really like upset. But she's like, no, I do like you. So it's like this whole weird kind of thing of how they got together and her like actually genuinely liking him despite kind of how crazy he is. So I feel like it could have worked, like the way that she is, considering she's already kind of a low-key criminal herself. I think had she like maybe known the truth about like what Ray actually did, she probably would have been okay with it. Because then later in the film, we do get to see them kind of reunite and have this really kind of great rapport, despite Ray kind of being a little cuckoo. So I thought it was cute.
Very much so.
Yeah, and I loved kind of how it's soft. Like immediately he saw her and he was just kind of like, we see him not making that ridiculous, annoyed, furrowed face that he's had for the whole of the film. So I love kind of how he instantly becomes infatuated with her. And I love how she can kind of manage him and kind of frazzle him a little bit. So, I thought it was cute.
I mean, clearly Ray likes a bit of the debauchery while Brendan Gleeson's there going around bell towers and looking at medieval castles and also sitting in the hotel room that they've got waiting for a phone call from Ralph Fiennes. Colin Farrell spends this movie either trying to be debaucherous with Clemence Posey or finding himself, because he obviously sees her at the first place on this movie
set, yeah,
where they're filming a dwarf character do something, and then he has this weird obsession with dwarfs and people with dwarfism for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, because I think he gets in a random conversation with Ken about like little people and how he has this kind of theory in his mind that they're prone to like committing suicide or something.
It's very dark. It's very, very dark.
And it makes no sense. Like he's just bringing up these weird random examples. Like he thinks it happens a lot. And that ends up being like his opening line when he talks to Clemence Posey. Is this because she's working on the set. So he sees her like as like a PA or something. And so he starts talking to her and they see the little person in the movie go by and he says that to her and she's like confused. But again, like not a total deterrent, like his kind of clumsy delivery of this trivia that he thinks he's spouting is kind of endearing to her. Like she really kind of thinks it's like weird, but okay, he's kind of cute kind of thing. So it ends up being this thing that he
must say this to 3 or 4 people in the movie.
Yes, including the little person. He'll ultimately tell him.
Exactly.
And the little person, Jimmy, is like, why would you say this to me? He's very like offended and he doesn't understand why he thinks this.
Why this would be a good icebreaker. Because it's just like, imagine just meeting anybody, picking their potentially obvious trait about themselves, and then just going to town on all the people with that trait who've had miserable lives.
Who are prone to these awful things. Like he's just like, what? And he's American as well. So there's also kind of maybe this like cultural divide happening as well.
I mean, definitely. I think if there's one thing that this very Irish movie does have in it, it's a little bit of spite for Americans. Like, it really doesn't like Americans as a movie, I don't think. Every American character, or every opportunity given, it is just going to paint American people as ridiculous and or horrible.
Essentially.
It's, when you're dealing with protagonists like the two we're dealing with here, and you're seeing them as the good-hearted, good-natured ones in the middle of Americans, it's a weird sort of thing to like normal, everyday kind of Americans. It's pretty clear what we're getting into there. But Jimmy turns out to be he's completely off his nut as well.
Oh yeah, because
he's completely insane. He's off his face on all sorts of drugs. He's getting prostitutes around every night, and he ends up being a massive racist.
Yeah, he thinks he's talking about this war that he believes is coming between the little people, between the white little people and the black little people, and there's going to be this huge war. So he's constantly talking about this, like, where he's like, okay. So they're both like matching each other's weird energy.
Yeah. I like how, Ray brings Ken along to this drug house wherever on earth Jimmy takes them with these 2 prostitutes that he's decided to find. And it's the most uncomfortable looking situation you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
And at one point, it's like Brendan Gleeson must not know what the hell he's doing there.
Well, he sat there.
He gets up at the end.
Yeah. Well, he ends up doing like cocaine there with them.
Yeah.
But it's right after he's gotten the news to do what he needs to do. So he's kind of like, which we ultimately end up learning that they were out the first time Harry had called, and Harry was upset. So the next night they're needing to stay in to take this call. And Ray is like, I don't want to stay because I have this date. So
Yeah.
Ken lets him go on the date. And then when Harry calls, he pretends that Ray is there because he's like assuming, oh gosh, Harry will be upset if we're both not here. But then weirdly, Harry asks him to tell Ray to leave. So then it's a whole scene of us seeing Ken have to pretend that Ray is there and that Ray left the room.
Yeah.
So Ray didn't need to be there anyway. And he doesn't.
And Harry's very overzealous with it as well. He's like, "Are you sure he's left? I would go back outside and check
and make sure he's gone." Yeah.
The eye rolls from Brendan Gleeson.
Yes, because he's like, "What did you tell him? What would you give him? Like, why would you tell him you wanted him to leave?" And like this whole thing. And it comes to find out that like Harry wanted Ray gone because he wants Ken to kill Ray, because Ray effed up and killed this little boy, and that is part of his credo. We don't kill children accidentally or not, so he's got to go. And Ken doesn't want to do it, but he's like, okay, like, yes, I know my job, I know what I need to do. He tells Ken this guy Yuri to go see to get a weapon and do it. And the son of Yuri ends up being that guy that Ray blinded in one eye. So that's how he ends up kind of getting mixed up in all of this. So yeah, Ken is like, he's gotten this call to have to do this thing to kill Ray. He doesn't want to kill Ray because he is kind of Ray's mentor as well. And he knows Ray feels bad about it, and he knows it was an accident, and
he likes Ray. They're friends as much as anybody can be friends in this profession.
In this kind of situation. Yeah. So he doesn't want to do it. So he ends up at a bar, and then he runs into Ray, and then Ray takes him to this drug-fueled little kind of situation with the little person and these prostitutes. So he's kind of in a weird state of mind. So he ends up kind of just doing some cocaine and then leaving. But it's kind of more for him to just spend time with Ray and kind of contemplate what he needs to do. More than anything else is why I think he ends up kind of going there with them. So
yeah, it's not really his scene though.
No, he's just there, I think, to just spend time with Ray and kind of figure things out. So we see him meet the Yuri guy. He gets the gun, and yeah, he's like really struggling to do it. And then he finds Ray in a park, sat on a bench. So he plans to just kind of walk up on Ray and shoot him in the back of the head. But as he walks up behind Ray on this park bench, he sees Ray lifting a gun to his own head. So Ray had already gone to this park and planned to kill himself, all at the same time while Ken was about to kill him. And funnily enough, as he sees Ray lifting the gun to his own head, he shouts for him to stop.
And it's a terrifying moment, because it's like, Ray, stop what you're doing. Jesus, Ken, where did you come from? What are you doing there? Why'd you have a gun?
Yeah, exactly. So because the guns they had to do the job, they like threw in the sand, so they don't have them. But Ray had the gun that he stole from his lady's boyfriend or whatever. And then of course he had the gun Ken had the gun he got from Yuri. So yeah, like Ray is already feeling so guilt-stricken that he already had just planned to kill himself.
Which would have worked with Ray Fiennes' moral code.
Exactly.
He'd have been happy with that.
Yeah, so Ken kind of has this profound moment where he's like, I can't do this. I can't let you do this. Like, you made a mistake. I know it's hard. And he tells him, yeah, Harry told and sent me to kill you. And he's like, well, you didn't have to do that because I was already planning this, because I'm just, I can't live with this decision I've made. And this is kind of where the tonal shift kind of really happens. It's a really dark moment where Ray is kind of just honest about what he feels and how bad he feels for this. And he doesn't really want to live with this. And, Ken kind of has to give him some perspective, like these things happen and in this work that we do, but I don't think, you could go on and do something else. Like, just leave here. I'll help you leave, go somewhere else, just do something else, a fresh start kind of thing, because, you deserve a second chance kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it
so
turns almost at this point from this sort of dark comedy that it's been for most of it to
mhm.
an almost tragedy thriller, you would say.
Yeah,
Like, the
yeah.
comedy's still there, but
Still
it's
there.
certainly not
Yeah.
it's not as prevalent, and obviously when Harry turns up in Bruges, when Ralph
Yeah.
Fiennes does turn up in Bruges to find them, to figure out what the hell's going on, why is nobody really picking up his calls? He has to go, like, on Christmas. We see that scene of him calling his wife an inanimate object and all this business again.
Yeah.
And he has to leave for Bruges on Christmas to sort this
whole
nonsense
situation
out.
out. Yes.
And
So
he's obviously seething. He's fuming. He's absolutely furious. I do like Brendan Gleeson's takedown of him as well. We shan't be repeating such words on It's a Wonderful Podcast, but I do
no.
really like that takedown.
Yeah, because he gets Ray on a train and tells him like good luck, and he even asks, like, kind of darkly asks Ray, well, are you going to take the second chance, or are you just going to like try to kill yourself again? And Ray's like, I don't even know.
Yeah.
And he kind of alludes to the fact that even if he ends up somewhere else, he'll probably still feel the need to do this because of how bad he feels. So yeah, he gets on the train, he's gone, and as soon as the train is pulling out of the station, Ken calls Harry and tells him, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
killing him. I just got him on a train. Do you hear it? So bye. Like, he kind of just tells him to shove off, and that he's not going to do it, and that he's gotten him on a train. He's going to get a fresh start. So, do what you need to do to me. Come down here and do whatever you need to do. Because he knows what the consequences are. And so he's just prepares for them. He's like, whatever. I can't do this to this person. So do your worst, basically. So I love kind of Ken just like saying F it, and like, I'm not gonna, punish this guy further. I'm not gonna let him punish himself. Yeah.
That's Ken's moral stance. That's his humanity showing through.
Yeah, so he's risking his own life. Yeah.
To Harry.
Yeah, and he's risking his own life to help Ray in this moment. And so after he makes that phone call, basically telling Harry to shove it, that's when Harry starts smashing the phone up, and his wife's like,
yeah,
what the hell are you doing? So then he has to now go down there, and he says he's going to Bruges, and like, because I was like, well, what's that?
What's Bruges? What's Bruges?
Yes, and like, he has never even been there, but he has heard of it to be this like sanctuary, and he admits to Ken, that's why I sent you there, so that Ray can have a little bit of fun and enjoy himself before I told you to kill him. Basically,
like this fairy tale town, he keeps referring to it as, Harry, doesn't he? It's a fairy tale. Why wouldn't you like a fairy tale town? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, exactly. But Ray's
you should be enjoying yourself.
Yes, but then there's trouble with Ray, because as soon as Ray gets on the train, he's spotted by the couple who he beat up in the restaurant.
Yes,
and it turns out they are not American; they are Canadian, and they tell the cops, and the cops are like, did you beat these people up? They're Canadians. You're going to have to get off this train, and we're taking you back to Bruges. And he's like, so he has to.
I love that, though. It's just like, oh, no, Canadians, as though to say, I really didn't mean to beat up Canadians. It's fine. It's fine now. If I'd have only known
they were Canadian and not American, I probably wouldn't have done that. Like, what? Okay. But yeah, he's like, well, okay, like, of course, he's trying to get out of Bruges because of, what's happened. But now it's like, we're sending you back to Bruges immediately.
Yeah.
He's like,
oh, dear.
Okay. So he's in jail. He calls Clements to Posey to bail him out. She does, because she actually does like him.
Yeah.
And then they kind of go off, and then he's actually kind of maybe enjoying the town a little bit. They end up going to this like outdoor bar, and are sitting and drinking and talking, have a lovely conversation. Then they kind of have this funny moment, and it's like also a very kind of scary thing, because they are in the kind of square near that tower, and they're kissing. And as they're kissing, Harry and Ken walk right past them.
Yeah.
And don't even notice them because, they're not expecting Ray to be there. And so Ken ends up arranging with Harry, kind of like, I don't know, maybe playing to his kind of sense of honor, I guess, saying, "Hey, what if we just go to the top of this tower and just have a shootout, like fair and square kind of shootout situation?" So Harry's like, "Okay, fine." Meanwhile, Ray is literally right downstairs, like drinking in front of this tower with this girl. And they haven't noticed him, they haven't noticed each other yet. So they're trying to go up to the tower, which is kind of where the comedy comes in again. And the guard is telling them, no, the tower's closed down tonight because some man had a heart attack. Some American tourist had a heart attack at the top. So,
but this guard guy also, like, he puts his finger onto Harry's forehead.
He's
like,
really kind of nasty.
Tower is closed.
Like
please go away. And it's like
Brendan Gleeson's face is just like,
right,
good luck, buddy. And he just like swerves around, making this face like, oh god, you just signed your own death warrant, guy, kind of thing. And then we just see in the background Harry just beating the shit out of this guard.
Yes.
And he gets the key from him and they go up the tower. And as they get to the top, Ken is just like, no, I'm not going to do this with you. Just shoot me. Like, I'm not going to do a shootout with you. And he's gun down. And Harry's like, what are you doing? No, we're doing this. Take your gun and let's do this. And Ken's like, no, I accept my fate. Just shoot me.
He really does have a very twisted sense of honor, Harry, because he is so seethingly mad with this whole situation. Like any typical criminal boss would just do away with the problem, but he has to have it be either some sort of fair fight or a justifiable reason.
Yeah, he's about this kind of like,
I want this to happen.
Yeah, he has his kind of brand of justice that he needs to kind of live by. And so because Ken won't kind of play along with what he wants, he ends up just shooting him in the leg instead as the punishment, instead of killing him. So he's helping him down the tower steps, and this Yuri's son, the guy Ray, like half blinded, he's walking by and he sees, because I think Harry stops and sees Yuri and the son is there, so he knows this guy. He briefly was acquainted with this. That's where we find out he's Yuri's son. And so Harry stops at Yuri so he can get a gun to kill Ken. So he's been acquainted with the son character who ends up kind of walking by the tower, and he sees Ray and Clement sitting at the tables talking. And he knows that Harry is there to kill Ray. So as Ken and crippled, like a shot in the leg, Ken and Harry are walking down the steps of the tower, the guy comes in and he says, your guy, he's literally right downstairs. And then like Ken and Harry freeze in the stairwell. And then Ken is like, no, I can't let him kill Ray. So he tries to stop Harry and
tries to fight on these narrow stairs.
Yes.
Having been shot, it's very clumsy.
And he's trying to hold off the gun, but then he like holds Harry's hand to stop the gun, but Harry ends up kind of with the bad angle shooting Ken in the neck. And so now Ken is kind of like a bleeding out situation. And while kind of Ray and Clemens are kind of sat at this table having a nice, lovely time, they get a good laugh because Jimmy, the little person, walks up dressed like a little schoolboy. And because it's his costume for the movie.
Yes. And there is some unfortunate things going on with some sort of outdated ideas towards dwarves and little people, isn't there, really, in this movie? I mean, it has to be said. I feel like there was a certain time in the 2000s when this was just a thing.
Yeah.
And this was in movies. I'm not suggesting we have to you know, boycott watching In Bruges or anything like that.
No, because it's also because yes, Jimmy kind of calls out the fact that the movie he's making is a crap movie, and like,
yeah,
you know, he's not like excited to do that or to be this kind of like to dress this way. Like he walks up very annoyed that he has to wear this ridiculous schoolboy's costume kind of thing, and they get kind of like a good little giggle out of it.
Jimmy himself is a good layered enough character to kind of, I suppose, to not let those elements bother you about this movie.
Yeah.
I think because he's written well as a good character. It is everybody else's treatment of him that's
kind of like,
you know, to a point off-putting.
Yes, and I think it's supposed to be. So you're not supposed to be kind of applauding these characters' reaction to him. So that's, I think, where it kind of works. But yeah, so he ends up going back to set, but in that same breath, here comes down Harry to get Ray. Ray sees him, tells Clemens to go. She's kind of trying to figure out what's going on, and he starts running. So he starts running through the city, and Harry's shooting at him, and he's trying to get away. And he ultimately ends up going back to their hotel because that's where the gun is that he got. So he needs the gun, or no, he gets warned because I completely forgot this. He only gets warned because Ken starts using his kind of dying breaths to get his attention.
Yeah.
So Ken hobbles back up to the top of the tower. He starts dropping coins down to get Ray's attention. So Ray's like looking over there. And then we see Ken like, you know, clean himself up and like straighten his jacket and all this. And so we know what he's going to do because he's bleeding out. He ends up throwing himself off of the tower to get Ray's attention. And Ray looks over there. He kind of is figuring out what's going on because like as soon as like you hear the like spurt of Ken's body.
Sound effect.
He holds Clemens's face because like he's already kind of aware what's happening. So it's interesting that like because he is just lives death like this, he has the foresight to like cover her face and have her not see it. And then he goes over there and he sees it's Ken, and they have this really heartbreaking moment because Ken is still kind of partially alive. Ken even kind of tucked the gun in his shirt to kind of, you know, have it to give to Ray so that he would have it to use. So he tried to kind of tuck it in as safely as he could. And he, with his last breath, he tells him, "Here, take the gun. Harry's here. He's coming for you. You know, take my gun."
Yeah.
And Ray goes to get the gun, and it's completely smashed to bits. And he's like, do you have another gun? Where's the gun? Where's my gun? Like, and then Ken is just like, "I'm gonna die now." And then he just, it's really sad. And so
oddly, for being such a vulgar kind of chaotic death, it's a strangely also peaceful one.
Yes, and very emotional. And you know, even before Ken throws himself off this tower, like you're meant to, I think, feel a sense that he is okay with this. He's okay with the choice.
Yeah.
He's not doing it out of some kind of duress or fear or anything else. He's doing it because he's like, well, this is what it is. I accept my fate kind of thing. So that's, I think, where this kind of sense of peace comes from with it. But it's really sad. It's a really heartfelt moment kind of between the two of them. And Ray is really broken up. So now he has to kind of mentally deal with this while also now seeing Harry about to kill him. So this is weighing on his mind, and he has to run back to the hotel. Harry's shooting at him to get his gun. And the hotel is owned and run by this pregnant woman, and they had a kind of a nice rapport with her. So he kind of warns her, "This guy's coming to kill me. You should get out of here," and this whole kind of thing. And then this woman, just kind of a badass. He goes up to the room. He finds the gun. He's like at the top of the stairwell. Harry's down there, and the woman's like, "I'm not letting you in. Get out of my hotel." And he's like, "Ma'am, please go." And it's like, because Harry has this code, you know, he's not going to kill this woman. He's like, "This woman's pregnant. This is her hotel. Like, don't hurt her. And, you know, you can do whatever you want to me kind of thing. So we get this kind of standoff kind of conversation happening with the pregnant woman kind of sat in the middle. Like she refuses to let him get to Ray or mess up her hotel. She's like, you're not having a shootout in my hotel. I'm not going anywhere. So I love that she kind of stands up to Ray, and it's like, what can Ray do? Kind of thing. And so Ray kind of makes this deal with him and says, Harry, there's a canal right outside this window that I'm by. So all you have to do is walk out of the hotel, go around the corner, and you'll see the canal. And, you know, you can shoot at me, you know, and that'll be that. And if you hit me, then you hit me. And if you don't, then we're square kind of thing. And so, you know, I like the fact that, like, again, it's a situation where we give Harry another kind of option, and Harry kind of will take it. He's like, he kind of respects that to a degree.
Yeah.
Because of this code he has. So if you kind of
He's a strange old character.
Yeah, if you present him with what feels like a plausible, kind of justifiable option, he might, you know, be agreeable to that kind of thing. So it's interesting to kind of have him be this cold, like, you know, assassin boss guy who's, you know, really doesn't have qualms about killing whoever he needs to kill. But he also kind of lives by this code so strongly that you can kind of, you know, present another way to him, and he's open to kind of, you know, hearing it. It's an interesting kind of character thing with this guy. And so Harry says, okay, I'll take that deal. And Ray goes out the window. He is going to jump in the canal, but happens to be a boat going by. So he ends up jumping on the top of the boat. And he ends up dropping his gun in the water. So he has no way to defend himself. And then we see Harry kind of come out, and he's like, it's far enough away. It's far enough away. He can't get me. He can't get me. And he's hoping that he's far enough away that it won't get him. But we also were told that the bullets Yuri gave Harry were these dumb bullets that will kind of just blow through anything. So we know they're like pretty deadly bullets. So he ends up shooting at Ray and shooting him in the torso, and it goes through him. And so now we see, like, Ray is not in a good way, but he's able to get off the boat. He's stumbling through the town. He ends up on the movie set outside where they're filming. And Harry's still chasing him. And Harry ends up shooting him a bunch more times, and in front of all of these people making this movie. And he's walking kind of towards Jimmy at the time, while he's kind of stumbling and falling. And as Harry shoots him one last time, Ray falls to the floor. And then we kind of pan up, and very kind of similarly posed to Ray when he shot the priest. And then we kind of panned out to, like, this overhead shot. We see the body of the young boy. It's framed kind of very similarly to that, where we see Ray laid on the floor, and then we kind of pan forward and we see those dumb bullets went through Ray and hit Jimmy. And Jimmy is dressed like a little schoolboy. So Harry thinks he's broken his whole credo of not killing children. And so, you know, to his word, he says, well, I guess, you know, I can't, you know, I have to follow my own rules. I killed a child. And Ray's trying to tell him, no, he's not a child, but, you know, he's, you know, riddled with bullet holes, so he can't get the words out. But he's trying to stop Harry too. You know, this is the man who's shot him all up. But I kind of love that
he's seen too much death.
Yeah, he's still trying to warn Harry to stop Harry, despite what Harry has just done to him. But Harry thinks he's killed a child, and so he immediately puts the gun to his mouth and shoots himself.
And there we go.
In Bruges. Because he's completely blown off Jimmy's head, and it's just really tragic kind of thing. And so then we kind of get this whole bit of narration from Ray talking about how he feels like Bruges is like his purgatory, and so he hopes he lives so he's not stuck in the purgatory of Bruges because it's so terrible for him.
Because we don't see Ray die exactly. We just see him
and
very riddled.
and we see from his POV as we're hearing this narration from him, we're in his POV, like laying on a gurney as like, paramedics are loading him up. So we kind of are laid and we're looking up and we see the hotel woman kind of looking on to him. And then we see Clemence Posey come up to him and she's distraught, because, seeing him like this. And then he gets on the ambulance and we just kind of hear him talk about like he hopes he lives because he doesn't want to be stuck, in Bruges.
No, nobody wants to be stuck in Bruges.
And
you
that's
kind of want to go to Bruges now, though, don't you?
Right? Yeah. And then I'm sure there's kind of like this life that's been given to this place because of this film. I'm sure there's like a fan kind of situation that's probably set up here now.
You could guarantee that there will be an in Bruges tour of Bruges.
Or something. Yeah.
Of course there will. Absolutely. And there should be. There should be. This is a great movie. This is, not a movie for the faint of heart and not a movie for the faint of stomach either. I don't think it's a very, very frequently nasty movie, an incredibly vulgar movie.
Yeah.
An incredibly direct and frank movie.
Yes, like a very kind of mean movie.
A very
to
mean
certain demographics of people.
Yeah. But also a very, very funny and very clever and very just shockingly emotional movie.
Yeah.
Had an awful lot of fun within Bruges, Jeannine, as you knew I would, as you envisioned, as this was always reasonably going to happen. I think that does it for this episode of Morgan Hasn't Seen. There we go. The Not Quite Christmas series, our special video podcast episode for the month, of course, as well. We do hope you have enjoyed watching today's episode as well as listening to it, of course. What's next week on Morgan Hasn't Seen? Serendipity, I think.
Yeah.
That seems like more of an active Christmas movie than some of the others. Like, obviously, there's a lot of Christmas things going on in the background of In Bruges and things like that. Loads of decorations everywhere and Silent Night playing and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know, something about Serendipity, maybe because it's a rom-com, gives off a little bit more of Christmassy vibe.
I think Christmas setting kind of bookends the movie.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So it kind of opens with our characters meeting in a Christmas in New York and then them kind of potentially, kind of coming back together at the end.
I see.
In Christmas in New York kind of thing.
I see. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So I think it is a very much, I think, a background element. I haven't watched it in a while, but yeah, this is one of those films that have kind of been on appraisal. Like, this is kind of problematic.
Is it on the Love Actually spectrum of problematic?
No, it's the fact that like when they meet, they both are in relationships with people, but they're still kind of entertaining this idea of like liking each other and seeing each other kind of thing.
People need to watch older movies a lot. I mean, this happens literally all the time.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, this maybe this shouldn't happen in real life. We can have our conversations about that, but this happens all the time in old movies. So people should not be getting all in a fuss about it.
Yes, and I think this is kind of an epic meet cute that these two characters have. That like,
I see.
I think you're meant to be like, this is like a really great meet cute that I think it warrants these people kind of developing these fast feelings despite being with other people. So
fair.
I don't know. Okay. So you can judge for yourself. Week.
We'll see. We'll see what's going on. That is coming next, of course, on Morgan Hasn't Seen in our Not Quite Christmas series. Obviously, this is not the only show we have on the It's a Wonderful podcast feed, because the main show, It's a Wonderful podcast, is there celebrating old movies every Friday. 70s Christmas horror is our December series there. A lot of craziness and fun, obviously, in that little very niche category we're talking about.
Yes.
In this December. Of course, Discovering Dawson's Creek is there on Mondays, as well as we have just recently finished diving into Doctor Who for the 9th Doctor era. We will be returning with Palling with Peacemaker for season 2 that aired earlier this year for a couple of months before returning back to diving into Doctor Who. Discovering Dawson's Creek remains the present on a Monday. But do subscribe wherever you are listening today. Leave your comments on Spotify, rate and review everywhere else. Share it around, do all those good stuffs, and subscribe and ding your notification bell on the It's Wonderful Podcast YouTube channel. If you are watching today's episode, things have been scrolling down at the bottom of the screen as well. If you would like to support us on Patreon or donate in any way, you can find links to do that in the description of the episode. And of course, find us on and across all the social medias on the app formerly known as Twitter and on Blue Sky at It's a Wonderful One. Find me on the app formerly known as Twitter at the Purple Dawn with the 3 instead of the E in there, because Jeannine.
3 is a magic number.
On Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky at the Purple Dawn. All your Belgian stuff is where, I guess.
You can find me, Jeannine Devine _ on Twitter, Jeannine Devine on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. And if you want to get any merch for any of our shows, just check the description for the link or search G9 Design on tpublic.com.
And of course, please, now, in your finest Colin Farrell's Irish accent.
No. You're just going to make
try
me do this.
Brendan Gleeson's instead. You can do Brendan Gleeson's instead.
No, I'm going to sound like a crazy leprechaun person, no matter what I do. And you're just going to laugh at me.
I don't think Colin Farrell or Brendan Gleeson would be very impressed with that.
No, they probably wouldn't.
Take great offense.
Apologies in advance.
Look, you're the one who's been to Ireland. I've never even been to Ireland, and it's literally there.
It doesn't mean I can sound like Irish people, which you will learn right now. 3, 2, 1.
Bye. I couldn't hold it in.
So mean.